When Keith Urban first met Maggie Baugh, no one expected it to become the talk of the entire country scene. What started as a simple friendship between two talented artists soon spiraled into rumors, secrets, and emotions that no one saw coming. And now, after months of silence, Keith Urban has finally revealed what really happened, and fans are absolutely stunned. It all began backstage at one of Keith's tours. Maggie was this rising star, young, gifted, full of life, and with a violin in her hands that could make a stadium go quiet. She had this spark, the kind that reminded people of what real music sounded like before fame and noise took over. Keith, always one to encourage new talent, had invited her to play a few shows with him. To the public, it seemed harmless, a superstar helping a newcomer find her spotlight. But behind the smiles, the applause, and those glowing lights, something deeper was growing. People close to the tour began noticing how connected they seemed. Between sets, they'd share quiet talks. During rehearsals, Maggie would look at Keith like he was someone who understood her world in a way no one else did. And Keith? Well, he looked at her with the same kind of admiration. It wasn't romantic at first. It was more like two artists speaking the same emotional language. But as the weeks went by, their chemistry became impossible to ignore. And that's when the rumors began. Fans started noticing how often Maggie appeared in Keith's social media clips. A few photos, a few smiles. Harmless, right? But the internet doesn't miss anything. Comments flooded in. Who's the girl with Keith? Where's Nicole? Are they working together or something more? Suddenly, what was meant to be a professional collaboration became the center of fan theories and gossip threads. Keith tried to laugh it off in interviews. He said, "Maggie's an incredible musician, and I'm just proud to share the stage with her." But even that didn't stop the whispers. Nicole Kidman, Keith's wife, who's known for her calm and composed grace, stayed silent at first. But insiders claimed that silence wasn't peace, it was tension. People close to the couple said Nicole wasn't happy about how close Keith and Maggie had become. And who could blame her? Every photo of Keith with Maggie seemed warmer than the last. During one concert, Maggie stepped forward and played a solo so beautiful that Keith walked up behind her, strumming softly as the crowd roared. When she finished, he hugged her, and that single hug set the internet on fire. Fans posted clips saying, "This isn't just music, something's going on." For weeks, the rumors snowballed. Paparazzi camped outside Keith's Nashville home. Reporters followed Maggie's every move. Some claimed Nicole had confronted Keith privately, demanding the truth. Others said Maggie began receiving hate online, accused of being a homewrecker when, in truth, she was just trying to survive in a brutal industry. And that's when everything shifted. Maggie started to pull away. She canceled a few performances, skipped rehearsals, and avoided cameras. Insiders say she broke down more than once, saying she never asked for this, that all she ever wanted was to play her music and make people feel something real. Meanwhile, Keith faced the hardest silence of his life. The woman he'd mentored now seemed like a ghost, distant, hurt, and misunderstood. Weeks later, Keith showed up alone to a major industry event. Nicole was in Australia filming. Maggie wasn't there, and for the first time, Keith looked like he was carrying the weight of every rumor, every headline. Fans noticed. The sparkle was gone. It wasn't until months later that Keith finally broke his silence. In a radio interview that was meant to promote his upcoming album, the host casually mentioned Maggie Baugh. There was a pause. That kind of silence where you can feel someone trying to choose their words carefully. Keith finally said, "People are always going to talk, but what they don't see is the truth behind the music. Maggie came into my life at a time when I was searching for inspiration. She reminded me of the fire I had when I started, before fame, before pressure, before expectations." That's what it was. Nothing more, nothing less, the interviewer pressed on, asking if the rumors had affected his marriage. Keith sighed. "Nicole's the strongest person I know," he said softly. "She knows my heart. But even the strongest hearts get tired of fighting noise that isn't real. And that's when it hit people. This wasn't just about Maggie or a rumor. It was about Keith's struggle to hold his personal and professional life together while being torn apart by public perception. But the story didn't end there. Not long after that interview, Maggie posted something unexpected on her Instagram story. A photo of her violin and a caption that read, "Some stories get told the wrong way, but I'll always be grateful for the music that healed me." The post went viral. Fans flooded her comments with love, apologizing for believing the worst. Some said she deserved better. Others begged her to tell her side of the story. But Maggie stayed silent after that. No interviews, no statements, just music. And then, months later, Nicole Kidman made an appearance on a red carpet, wearing what the media later called her revenge look. A shimmering golden gown that turned every head in the room. She smiled at cameras, looking radiant and powerful. Reporters tried to bring up Keith, but she just smiled and said, "I'm happy. I've learned when to hold on and when to let go." Her words set off a wildfire online. Was she hinting that the marriage was over? Had she finally reached her breaking point? For the first time, fans began to question whether Keith and Nicole were still together, or if their silence meant something had already ended behind closed doors. Keith's next move only added fuel to the fire. During one of his concerts, right before singing a new unreleased song, he said into the mic, "This one's about the truth you keep quiet, until you can't anymore." And then he played. The song was raw, emotional, full of regret and longing. Some fans swore the lyrics were about Maggie. Others said it was about Nicole. But what everyone agreed on was that Keith Urban was finally bearing his soul. After that night, social media exploded. Did Keith just confess through his song? Was that about Maggie? Is Nicole gone for good? Theories flooded Twitter and TikTok, with fans analyzing every lyric, every gesture, every lingering glance in his performance. Then, out of nowhere, a small country magazine published an exclusive. They claimed to have spoken to someone close to Maggie, who revealed that after everything blew up, Keith personally reached out to apologize. The source said Keith told her, "I'm sorry for dragging you into something you never asked for. You didn't deserve that." That small gesture, quiet, genuine, changed the entire narrative. People began to see the human side behind the headlines. Maggie wasn't a villain. Nicole wasn't a victim. Keith wasn't a betrayer. They were all just people trying to navigate a storm they didn't create. Still, one question lingered. Why did Keith wait so long to clear the air? Why didn't he speak up sooner, before the damage was done? A few weeks ago, Keith finally gave his answer. In a heartfelt sit-down interview, he looked right into the camera and said, "Because I needed to understand my own mistakes first. I got caught up trying to please everyone, my fans, my label, the media, and I forgot that silence sometimes hurts more than the truth." Maggie didn't deserve the hate. Nicole didn't deserve the doubt. And I didn't deserve the lies. But that's what happens when you live your life in front of the world. People fill in the blanks when you don't. His honesty stunned everyone. There was no PR polish, no rehearsed tone, just a man speaking from experience. He admitted that the entire situation forced him to face parts of himself he'd been ignoring. The exhaustion, the emotional burnout, the weight of fame that looked glamorous from the outside but was slowly breaking him inside. And then he said something that made fans emotional. Maggie reminded me of why I started doing music, for the joy of it. Nicole reminded me of what real love and forgiveness look like. I hurt both of them in different ways. But I'm learning. I'm still learning. It was one of the rawest confessions Keith Urban had ever made. Since that moment, everything about him seems to have shifted. His presence, his energy, and especially his music. There's a depth in his new songs that feels more soulful, more authentic, and deeply grounded in emotion. Fans can sense that he's channeling real experiences and personal growth into every lyric and melody. Even Nicole Kidman, when asked recently about their marriage, gave a powerful and heartfelt response. She said, "Sometimes healing doesn't mean you go back to how things were. It means you move forward with more understanding." That statement alone says everything about where they both are now. That line struck a chord. Fans believe they might not be fully back together, but they've found a quiet peace, the kind that comes after storms finally pass. And as for Maggie, she's thriving, performing again, smiling again. During a recent show, a fan shouted Keith's name, and Maggie just laughed and said, "We all learn from life, don't we?" The crowd cheered, and in that moment, it was clear. She'd moved on too. The story of Keith Urban, Nicole Kidman, and Maggie Baugh isn't just about rumors or headlines. It's about how fame can twist the truth, how silence can be louder than words, and how love, in all its messy, painful forms, can still teach you something real. And now that Keith has finally revealed his truth, one thing is clear. Sometimes the most shocking confessions aren't about betrayal or scandal. They're about realizing you've lost yourself and finding your way back again. Because at the end of it all, Keith Urban didn't just reveal what really happened with Maggie Baugh. He revealed the price of being human in a world that never stops watching.